Hey everybody, it is Wintermute. Now I know I've got a lot of newer viewers recently, in part because of Crimson Tide, but those who do watch me on a regular basis know I've had some health issues recently, and I don't haven't had many answers. We've gotten a couple uncovered, but it looks like we finally gotten to the core thing, and the core thing looks like it's fibromyalgia. Now, I'm not going to go into a big dissertation on what fibromyalgia is. A lot of people already know what it is or are familiar with it or know somebody with it. In my case, though, it stands out because I've probably had it my whole life, at least probably since I was a teenager. But kind of like with my adipsia, where I don't have a sense of thirst, it's my norm was set for me at such a young age. I didn't realize that it was that the human body wasn't supposed to be in so much pain and have so much difficulty with physical tasks. Now, obviously, I made it through the police academy. I used to take martial arts, Krav Maga, things like that, and I was pretty good at them. I even could have been a defensive tactics instructor at the academy. But the thing is I didn't, up until about the age of 30, when people talk about going to work out, they talk, oh, I went, I love all that energy I get after a good workout. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, sure. I gotcha. And I seriously thought it was a joke up until about the age of 30. I'm not exaggerating. I thought it was a joke. Like, wait, you're supposed to feel good after you work out? Well, yeah. No. I feel like crap. I feel like crap for days and days after I work out. I don't rebound. Now, I can do what I need to do, but my energy level drops off quick. And then there's always an ongoing, like, oh God, man, I really not, like, I'm really locked up and sore and all this stuff. And I had no idea that wasn't normal. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I would look around at guys who would get off duty and go go work out at the gym for like an hour and then go home. Like, how do you guys do that? I can't even imagine physically doing that, let alone having the willpower, because I'm so exhausted, just from walking around or being on my feet or whatever the case is. But that's the thing. My norm was so out of whack. It was so out of whack that it took this long to figure out there was a problem, because I just thought that's how it was. I mean, then later on in life, I left the force. I did some other jobs, but then it really hit once I started working at a factory, and there was a lot of heavy lifting, and I struggled a lot with that. Now, I would always consider myself a healthy, in shape guy, but in truth, I wasn't. In truth, I was expending way more energy to get the same job done, and I didn't even realize it because I was just so exhausted all the time. And to me, I figured everybody else around me was like that. It wasn't until I got into a real physical position that I'm looking at other guys who would do it for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours and kind of be okay afterwards. Like, oh man, this day sucked. And I would just be like, I'm done. I go home, I lay down, I have just enough energy to eat, and then I go get in bed, and that's it. I'm done for the day. And it took everything I had just to get through that shift. Everything. I thought that was normal for the most part until I started realizing other guys don't go through this. Other people I work with don't go through this. So that's when we started trying to figure out what the hell the problem was. Well, after dozens of tests later, it turns out we couldn't pinpoint anything. And then so I started looking at some less common things. And, a couple times fibromyalgia came up to the top of the list, but then it was so erratic. Like, okay, well, I'm doing good for a couple weeks. Maybe it's a blood pressure thing. Maybe it's a diet thing. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. No, I was getting a lot of false positives because I had no idea it was the actual physical activity. And the position I'm in now is a lot lighter. There's a lot less, but I still go in, and within 2 hours of just being on my feet and moving around some sheets and not really even doing anything heavy, I'm out of energy. I'm out of energy, and that's not a lack of health. That's not being in bad shape or poor diet. Trust me, my diet is awesome right now. You know, I want to be more physical. I want to have this, but I don't have any energy throughout the day, and it all boils down. And the deeper and deeper I got, finally, we had struck so many things off the list that it could be okay. Well, these markers are coming back okay, and this blood work shows it's not that. And over here, I mean, yeah, there are some other things. I have a I don't absorb calcium properly, and I have adipsia, so I can dehydrate very quickly because I don't have a sense of thirst. Well, and I had sleep apnea for a while. Well, we got that taken care of. I was blaming everything on sleep apnea. Once that got out of the way, why am I still having problems? Okay, calcium deficiency. I go to the ER. Hey, it's calcium deficiency. And you're dehydrated. How am I dehydrated? Are you thirsty right now? Not even remotely. I drink what I normally drink during the day. It turns out I'm not drinking enough because I don't have a sense of thirst. And the calcium deficiency, that can happen to anybody. It's just unfortunate. In my case, it got dangerously low and I got taken to the ER from work. Because your muscles need calcium to work, and your heart is a muscle. When I went into the ER, they said, we start to get worried if your calcium level is about an 8. You're at a 6. Any lower and you could be in intensive care. I'm like, oh, shoot. So those are obviously some problems. Okay, well, we got those fixed. That's got to be it. Well, no, it's not. I'm still having problems. I'm just constant problems. And so finally we came to, I did another deep dive, a research dive into fibromyalgia, and it just fit. It just fit. Everything else fit. And we're running out of other options. And that's part of the problem with fibromyalgia. There's no test for it. They're working on one, but it's not going to be done for another couple of years. But this is a condition that will affect me for the rest of my life, and has probably affected me for my entire life, as it turns out. Yeah. So at least I have answers now, and I have something to work towards, and I understand what I can do differently. I'm doing some big diet changes. I've adopted a FODMAP diet and a low-calorie diet, which there is some evidence that does help with the symptoms. I know to pace myself. Work is aware. Hey, you just got diagnosed with this. Okay, well, we're not putting you back on the heavy lifting things, obviously. We got to find a position within the company that, you can do. Now, fortunately, in my case, I have a very broad skill set of a lot of different things. So I could go work in the IT department, with a little more training on it. I could go back to school and do things like that. So I have options. But this will be the last very physical job I ever work. I can't do it anymore. And that was the worst part was, if I need to get through the day, I'll do it. I can be very tenacious. That's probably part of the reason I went through my 20s and just pushed through. I want this, I'm going to go get it. It's as simple as that. Just do what you need to do to get it. But now I'm to the point where I could still do that, but then the cost is I'm dead on the weekends and I can't enjoy my time with my kids. Well, that's not going to cut it anymore. I can't. That's not worth it. This health issue had a huge impact on my marriage, without a doubt, because my energy levels were all over the place, and I was constantly slipping into depression just by sheer lack of energy. I was even treated for depression. None of it worked because it's not a clinical depression. It is just you're so physically exhausted that it creates a depressive state. So, like I said, it's manageable. People live with it. People still work with it. I need to refocus my goals. I'm not going to be able to go back into law enforcement at this point, which I had hoped to do eventually, but I won't be able to do it at this point. That sucks a lot. I really loved it, and I would love to get back and do it if the opportunity presents itself. or pursue it once my kids are old enough that I can have I can go ahead and risk being scheduled on weekends again. But I have to refocus. I was looking at taking some trips. I actually, not long after my divorce, I was seriously looking at taking a trip to Southeast Asia just because I wanted to. I needed to do something for me after the divorce. And one of the places I wanted to go, well, I say Southeast Asia, it's that area in general, Asia in general. One of the places I really wanted to go was Mongolia, but there's a lot of hiking in Mongolia and things like that, and I don't know if I can do that anymore. I may have to stick to the touristy areas, and I won't be able to go to the out of way. I won't be able to rough it. I won't be able to rough it. So I have to reevaluate what I can and can't do in my life, what I can and cannot do physically, and I need to start doing self-care things that I wouldn't normally do. Like I'm going to take up Tai Chi. That's not normally something I would ever do, but there is some evidence that it does help. It does help alleviate the symptoms. So that's where we're at. At least I've got answers, and at least I've got a way to move forward. Doesn't mean there isn't more to the story than this, but at least this is something that can be worked on. There are medications that I'm trying. There are things like that. So I just wanted to give an update. And if anybody else if anybody wants to contact me directly, my email is in my about section on my channel. You can email me directly if you want more details on kind of what I went through and what my symptoms were. If you suspect that maybe you have something similar. But if you suspect anything, go to your doctor. And I know a lot of people think that they're going to be seen as a hypochondriac, or a lot of people think, oh, I just tough it out. It's like, no, you shouldn't necessarily be toughing it out. There's a time and place to tough it out. Trust me, I've been there. There's a time and place to tough it out. But if it's every day, you need to talk to your doctor. Please talk to your doctor. So for right now, this is where I'm going to mute out. Just putting this out there for anybody who wants to hear it.